views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of Bronxnet or the program underwriters.
Hello, and welcome to the Weekend Review, the show where we wrap up the week's festivities, events, and stories happening right here in the Boogie Down Bronx. I am your host, Angel Almonte, and I would like to welcome you to this edition of the Weekend Review. Hello, and welcome to your weekly wrap-up. The new exhibition at Bronx Community College celebrates heritage and culture with original paintings by Stanwyck Cromwell. Reporter Alma Siribo brings us the story.
Bronxites have a new exhibition here at Bronx Community College celebrating heritage and culture with original paintings from Stanwyck Cromwell. In light of Black History Month, Guyanese-born artist Stanwyck Cromwell launched his paintings in remembrance of his homeland. These paintings symbolize his love for the craft, memories of his childhood, and unique features of African Americans. Cromwell spoke about the colors in his paintings, what they represent, as well as the message he wants his attendees to walk away with.
These colors represents the cultural makeup of America. America is not just red, white, and blue. America is all the colors put together. Embrace your culture. Embrace your nationality. Embrace who you are. Show love.
Attendees impressed with Cromwell's paintings include the Deputy Borough President expressing the significance of such exhibitions in the Bronx.
It's a very exciting work. It depicts his homeland of Guyana. It expressed the African diaspora, and there's a lot of imagery that is very akin to Black History Month. So this month we obviously want to celebrate history, heritage, and exactly what Mr. Cromwell's work is depicting. I believe that it's important for art to be available to us at all times, to young people, to older people, to have the experience of doing their own art. The artist here explained that there's no real definition of what an artist is, and that perhaps what you're doing at home is art and you don't even know it. So I think having art available is very important.
If you look at the paintings and the drawings we're looking at today, I think it basically shows the importance of art and culture. If you look at his paintings originally from Guyana, I can truly relate to them because I'm from Africa, and I can see all of the African symbols, colors woven into his drawings and paintings here. So really, art and culture, to me, basically the same. We have a lot of culture and diversity in the Bronx. We have the Puerto Ricans, people from the Dominican Republic, people from West Africa, people from the Caribbean. I think one of the things we need to do is to be able to share our culture and diversity and languages with one another. So I think events like this we need throughout our borough.
Cromwell's paintings will remain at the Art Gallery in Bronx Community College through March 5th. For showtimes and further information, log on to bcc.cuny.edu. I'm Alma Siribo reporting from Bronxnet.
Thank you, Alma. The Shadow League organization, along with Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., treated local high school students to the opening of the film Black Panther. Veronica Guidi tells us more.
Unless you're under a rock, you've been hearing about the highly anticipated Marvel film, Black Panther. Thanks to the Borough President's Office and the Shadow League, a group of students are being treated on opening night.
Yusuf Khan of the Shadow League had many good memories growing up here in the Bronx with his family. So when he got the opportunity to buy out a theater at the Multiplex Cinema on 161st Street, he did not hesitate, saying that being able to come back and do this for the students of Taft High School, especially on Black History Month, was the perfect fit.
Well, I think we really have not seen a black lead, We have not seen characters of color that are leading an entire movie, not just parts of it, but an entire movie, a black director, full black cast. So, when you have these types of things, you want to celebrate it, you want to honor and discuss it, and I think that's what we're enabling the audience to do today.
I am excited to have a group of Bronxites here with our Bronx fathers taking action and their children, where we have men in the Bronx spending an evening in the Bronx here, as well as our Bronx Youth Corps, all of our youth volunteers. This is the way we reward our youth. And what better way during this Black History Month celebration than to be in the movies and have the premiere of the Black Panther. What a lot of people don't know is the Black Panther was created by Stan Lee, and Stan Lee from Marvel Comics used to live in the Bronx. And this is a long time in the making, and it's a wonderful way to spend some quality time with the kids and reward our youth volunteers, but it's also a way to show our children that we come from heroes.
Rudy Blanco, one of the teaching staff at the Taft High School campus, said his kids couldn't believe the news that they were going to see the movie for free.
So when they came to us like, hey, we want to give them some, Black Panthers, we were like, oh, that's awesome. And then we pitched it to them and they were super excited about it.
I just heard everyone saying that it was going to be revolutionary. So I was like, I want to be a part of it.
The movie did indeed make revolutionary headlines, as it was the first Disney movie to have an international release, opening in many countries in Africa. The movie is also set to surpass Deadpool's President's Day weekend sales of $152 million. The movie has already had great success on preview night, bringing in a whopping $25.2 million, making it the largest preview gross for a February opener and the second largest preview gross for a Marvel film. The first is Avengers: Age of Ultron.
This movie met all expectations, but there won't be any spoilers here. Make sure you find yourself in a theater real soon. For Bronxnet, I'm Veronica Greety.
Thank you, Veronica. Ruben Diaz Jr. delivered his 9th State of the Borough address at the Bronx High School of Science. Let's take a look.
Here at the Bronx High School of Science, where Bronx President Ruben Diaz Jr. will be delivering his 9th State of the Borough address since taking office in 2009.
The borough president began his speech with the accomplishments his administration has made in regards to education, cutting the unemployment rate to 5.5%, the decrease of crime with less than 100 homicides in the past 5 years, and the redevelopment and safety of our parks.
Look how different things are in this borough today than just a decade ago. We have set the bar for the entire nation on a transformative urban renewal and redevelopment. We are the new standard for revitalization. Because of that, the Bronx is rising.
Yet with the good, there are still present challenges that Diaz addressed, such as homelessness, the opioid crisis, and public schools still not meeting students' needs. Although the Bronx has an increase in students graduating and less dropouts, reading and math scores are still low, while kids struggle to learn in overcrowded classrooms.
The DOE should work towards capping all middle school classes at 22 students. To provide more individualized instruction. New York City must also offer more high school subjects with class caps that promote discussion and collaborative learning.
Another issue affecting our borough is housing. Many residents live in their homes with no heat or repairs, dirty hallways, and apartments that have failed to be properly inspected for lead paint, putting children at a serious risk. Diaz was very clear with his intentions towards NYCHA.
Back in November, my Bronx Public Housing Task Force issued a report outlining several concrete steps that the city can take to improve public safety in public housing. I have also called for state oversight of NYCHA, given the city's inadequate response to the issue of lead testing. A state-appointed monitor is the only credible way to improve NYCHA. So we are turning up the heat on NYCHA to act as a responsible landlord. And if they refuse to do so, then I call on the governor to do it for them.
Diaz also had a message for Washington.
It is time for our nation's leadership to stop polarizing and speaking untruths and to start leading. We reject any misguided, harmful, and frankly, un-American erosion of our rights. We will protect our youth who have sought refuge and made their home in this great country from deportation. Therefore, we must pass New York State's DREAM Act. And
and federal DACA legislation as well.
We caught up with former borough president Adolfo Carrion, who said that his successor hit all the right points.
I think he's correct that the state of the borough is great. It's moving in the right direction. The number of housing units that have been produced, the improvement of neighborhoods, and there's a real spirit, he's right when he says we all did this together. It takes a great effort from a lot of people for the borough president to then stand up there and say, look, folks, things are good, but it really is a collective effort. The collective effort obviously requires a leader, and he's demonstrated that he's a natural leader. He's got a great future. I'm very proud of him.
This was a speech that showed when you invest in the Bronx, great things happen here. And also was very bold. It made people in Washington and also in the city to understand that you have to respect us and you have to demonstrate that when we're talking about building a better Bronx, it's not just a phrase, it's a mindset. So this was a speech that really conveyed the strength and the growth of the Bronx, but also to convey that we're not done yet.
The state of the Bronx is strong, and we will continue to lead the way for our great city. Thank you, and God bless.
It was an impactful and hopeful address, yet as mentioned earlier, there's still much more to be done, although we've seen vast improvements with the Bronx. But as our borough president said, there's so much more to come and more that will be done. For Bronxnet, I'm Veronica Guiti.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Yeah, I get it.
I got a crick in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. But I don't wanna get on. Very sad no more. All that I could do was remember you. You know I usually say no, but if you throw me love, I'll throw you some more.
Hello and welcome back to the Weekend Review. Make sure to stay connected by following us all throughout social media at Bronxnet TV. Council member Ruben Diaz Sr. hosted his annual Black History Month celebration, where many contributors to the community were honored, including Danny Barber. Reporter and my good friend Arlene Mukoko tells us more.
He's chairman of the Citywide Council of Presidents with the New York City Housing Authority. Danny Barber was an honoree at City Council member Ruben Diaz Sr.'s annual Black History Month celebration at Maestro's Catering Hall, where 4 others were also recognized. Barber has been a vocal advocate on behalf of NYCHA tenants across the city struggling without heat and hot water.
Just the other day, we had 72-degree weather, and NYCHA gave every apartment within its portfolio great heat. The next day, it was cold, and some people had no heat. Patterson Houses, who was working off of 3 mobile boilers, the boilers went down.
Each one was chosen by an elected leader, and for Diaz Sr., it was Tenant Association President of the Bronx River Houses, Norma Saunders, who saw a need to help seniors and another demographic.
We always focus on the boys and we forget about our young ladies. So we started a group called Above Pink, and it's been successful. We have 4 girls already went to college, and we do a lot of things with them like beauty, teaching them self-respect, self-esteem.
We have seniors in Concourse Village who have been retired for the last 10 to 15 years. Even though there's SCREE out there, some of them are still not available for SCREE. And the monies that they've received during their retirement has been eaten up. When we moved in Concourse Village, it was an investment. Now, if you don't have two people working, you cannot afford it because you have to take out a mortgage.
Her work with seniors and children so effective as founder of the concerned shareholders of Concourse Village that it caught the attention of New York State Assembly member Louis Sepulveda.
Every year at this time we celebrate the contributions, the history, a legacy of such a strong people that it's important that we come together and acknowledge that. We have a lot of issues that are impacting our communities of color. It's important for us to get together and discuss it.
Also honored Annie Johnson, Attendants Association president, chosen by New York State Assemblyman Marcos Crespo.
We do all of this and we do not get paid, but I do give them hell and I love it.
Meanwhile, New York State Assemblyman Victor Pichardo honored Charlotte Terrell Sapp.
We need to make sure that we honor and recognize Black history, the American history particularly, because Black history is American history, and we need to make sure that we celebrate and bring that up on high.
Each of the honorees were recognized tonight for their work in continuing the hard-earned gains by many historical figures like Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Booker T. Washington, Thurgood Marshall, and Frederick Douglass, with many saying that now is the time to be knowledgeable and grateful for that history while being vigilant. For Bronxnet, this is Arlene McCoco.
Thank you, Arlene. The Bronx Polar Bears teamed up with BronxWorks and Bronxnet to bring awareness to homelessness at their annual Polar Bear Plunge event at Orchard Beach. Let's take a look.
Family, are we ready to make our way to the beach?
The Bronx Polar Bears teams up with BronxWorks and Bronxnet for their 4th annual dip against homelessness. Bronxites went in frigid waters of Long Island Sound, all for a good cause.
I think there's a misconception that the homeless want to stay in the street, and that is a huge misconception. People want to be housed. And so for the time that they are out in the street, and especially our staff, along with other providers throughout New York City, they're trying to engage the street homeless. But in addition to that, hopefully we'll be able to obtain some much needed items for them, including socks, underwear, t-shirts, gloves, hats, and just warm weather gear for the cold weather.
To be able to support the efforts in terms of being able to collect things for the homeless community. As part of the city of New York, we always want the homeless community to be safe, to find shelter, to do that. So this is also a message to support the individuals to be able to find good, proper shelter.
Good Tunes was provided by Uptown Vinyl Supreme. Warm food and hot cocoa was supplied by Havana Cafe to keep the swimmers warm.
It's a quick dip. I'm not staying in there. I'm not staying in there.
Oh, I love swimming in the cold water. Not really.
This 5-minute dip is a reminder of the bone-chilling cold our neighbors must deal with every minute of every day in the winter. The goal was to continue to grow and raise more awareness about homelessness.
I think it's just one of those things that you kind of just say that, you know, the homeless is a situation that's going on and it's already tough as it is. So put ourselves in that type of predicament by just going into the water and get that experience for whether 10 seconds, 15 seconds. They go through it for 6 months out of the year.
I'm Ashley Tiffany, reporting from Bronxnet.
Bronx strong, everybody.
Hostos Community College took home the CUNY Women's Basketball Championship against the Borough Manhattan Community College in their own backyard. Lilia Udina brings us the story.
Bronx girls are taking the championship trophy home as the Bronx Community College Hostos wins CUNY Basketball Championship.
Super excited that we have the #1 team in the country, so their talent really showed through today in a dominant win. And it kind of to be expected because they've been that good all year long.
Hostess is holding a title of the #1 team in the country, given by the National Junior College Athletic Association since last year. And this year, they're living up to it, winning with the supreme score of 72-52 over the Borough of Manhattan Community College women team.
We go in and day out, and we work extremely hard. Our practices simulate our games, therefore we're always ready.
Hostess freshman forward Kyla Wilson is making her mark and getting an award for the most valuable player for 2018 CUNY Athletic Conference. Kyla's extraordinary goal percentage ranks second best in the nation.
It feels amazing, but this is the first stop. We have much more work to do. We're going to be back in the gym tomorrow practicing. It's a regular game.
Hostess works extra hard to accomplish these extraordinary results.
Countless days in the gym, staying after practice, Saturdays coming in early, putting the work in, just putting the work in constantly and believing in ourselves.
And here's the message for all the other girls out there in the Bronx who love sports and might have a doubt in their abilities.
I have a great example. Her name is Desiree Tolbert, number 15. That young lady has never played organized basketball prior to coming to Hostos Community College. With hard work, dedication, the will to succeed, and the desire to win, anything is possible. That young lady made all-tournament team, and she came in not making a jump shot.
If you feel like you want to give up, just to keep going, you know what I'm saying? Keep on working hard and keep it dedicated.
We're so proud today to see our own Bronx native Hostess winning the CUNY Conference Women's Basketball Championship. But let's buckle up, it's not over. They're headed for regionals and then nationals. Let's cheer them on. I'm Lilia Udenai reporting for Bronxnet.
Thank you, Lilia. The New York Botanical Garden hosted an event for students to learn more about African American history through hands-on projects. Veronica Guidi brings us more.
For the last day of Black History Month, the New York Botanical Gardens hosted an assembly of workshops to educate students on the history of the African American diaspora. Associate Vice President for Community Relations and organizer of the event, Elizabeth Figueroa, spoke about the importance of having the program.
We've been doing this for several years, and I think it's important that the children come here and learn about the culture, the food, the music, because sometimes they don't learn it at home. I work with the facilitators. We have a good relationship, and I always want them to for the kids to leave here learning something and having fun at the same time.
Students were able to participate in hands-on projects by creating paintings about the civil rights and dolls which taught them about the culture and significance of the fabric worn in some parts of Africa.
This little person is called a jelly griot. It's a griot. And I want the student to, I want to tell them a little bit about the way we used to tell the story about our village and our people in Africa. And the jelly griot are, most of the time they are musicians. They can be drummer or they can play the kora, K-O-R-A, it's a big cello. And these people, they have the knowledge of what happened, and they go to a son, to the dad give information to the son, and the son give it to his son. But now also women they can be jelly griot, and they are telling the story about the village and keeping the memory of the best things that we have.
Come on up to the front of the bus. I'll be standing right there.
We selected Rosa Parks in honor of Black History Month, and we wanted to paint the bus because it represented her movement. And the kids were really knowledgeable, and they learned the song about Rosa Parks. As you saw, they sang it, and they were excellent.
Artifacts were put on display for the students to receive a mini history lesson on how the African people communicated.
In terms of the drum, which is our major voice, everything is about communication. We are a people who communicate. We sing, we dance, we move our bodies in a way that help give the message. And when we think about the drum is the voice. It is our telephone. It is our cell phone, so to speak. It's past the cell phone. It is worldwide communication. That is how we literally survived. So when you see the pan drum or the steel drum, it is always our way to give a message. And that's an incredible translation because it shows where we landed and we used what materials were actually available, but always to give off the sound of our voice, and that's through the drum.
Keynote Karen Washington brought everything together by talking to the students about farming and how it was an intricate part of African American history. She also encouraged them to get involved in many of their community gardens right here in the Bronx.
I want people to understand to go out and have fun. I want them to go out into a community garden, put their hands in dirt and celebrate. Put a seed in, put some water and some soil and watch it grow, but most of all, have fun, because this is part of our heritage. This is who we are as African Americans.
The New York Botanical Gardens has events all year round, and you can find out more about them by just logging on to www.nybg.org. For Bronxnet, I'm Veronica Guiti.
Thank you, Veronica. How should Latino journalists face Donald Trump's presidency and politics? Well, students at Lehman College received advice from CNN and Español's Senior Vice President and General Manager Cynthia Hudson. Alexandra Garcia tells us more.
The Latin American and Puerto Rican Studies Department at Lehman College hosted the Latinx lecture on campus directed by Professor Myla Burns, who is also an anchor of a weekly Brazilian news show on Global Noticias Americas. The guest speaker was Cynthia Hudson, the Senior Vice President and General Manager of CNN en Español, who provided a bit of her background in the business and a few key takeaways everyone in the field of journalism should know. Now, as a Latina and working in CNN Español and under the Trump administration, what do you think is the biggest, I would say, obstacles right now for Latino journalists under the Trump administration?
Well, I think we need to not let our identity be a guide as to what we are doing with regards to news. We are part of the American fabric. We need to be very clear and proud of who we are. And I think we need to do our jobs. And our jobs we shouldn't allow anyone to diminish our work or what we do based on what our ethnicity or our background is.
Cynthia Hudson touched on key points, such as tapping into the ability by thinking of new ways to achieve your goals and new ways to balance your career while taking on new directions in your life. She also encouraged female journalists to not only aspire to be on-air reporters, but that there is also greater power behind the camera as well. By being behind the scenes as a journalist, you're getting firsthand access to the stories being covered. You get to decide on why does the story matter to you and to your community. Now, what advice would you give to future Latino journalists wanting maybe to work in CNN Español or Telemundo or Univision about now under the Trump administration, how to be a journalist surviving under the Trump administration and what to do and maybe what not to do?
I think we need to kind of not focus on who's the president at the moment that we're working in. I think we need to kind of do our jobs. And the way I look at it is a good journalist is going to pursue truth, facts, information, and not let, whether it's Trump or any other president, guide who and what we do, who we are and what we do. I think it's incumbent on us to be very meticulous, and to be very careful to show that we are not allowing any bias to get into the way of the work that we're doing.
The most important takeaway that Cynthia Hudson wanted Lehman students to walk away with is to always ask questions, never live life in a bubble, but to step outside your comfort zone, be yourself, and ask questions that others are not willing to ask. Reporting for Bronxnet Television, I'm Alexandria Garcia.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. If you want to check out these stories and much more, make sure to visit bronxnet.org or follow us on social media at Bronxnet TV. Until next time, I am Angel Almonte.